Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good to see you, man. It's good to see some more people popping in here too. Usually my crew is like 10 minutes late, man. That's what I've found. I'm not trying to speak that into existence. I'm just saying that's the natural fact of it. Is most of my crew is about 10 minutes late.
So your class really starts around 12:10.
Well,
They're just all running down the hall when the bell rings.
yeah, but if I said that, then it would be 12:20. And then it would be 12:30 and then 12:40. It's perpetual. It's like some folks will be late 10 minutes to their own funeral, and that's probably a good thing. But
You know what? If you're the start of the show up, and if it's the funeral.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started here, but there's more people popping in here. See, as I criticize everybody here, they're like, "Oh, well, we better log on." So anyway, it's good to see folks coming in here. It's good to see LaShonda. Hey, I'm really glad you're here too, and I think Sandra will be here as well. And we got more people popping in here. Hey, that's great. We could open this up today. Actually, we could open this up. ZoomJustin.com if you want to get in here. Okay. But yeah, this is going to be good. We're talking about land flipping today, everybody. Land flipping. Well, I'm a lease options guy. That's what everybody knows me as. Okay, but I'm not opposed to making money in other things. And land flipping is a popular topic these days. Not one that I consider myself an expert on. Okay. My goodness, we do have a lot of people popping in here now. Great.
Sweet.
Yeah. So we have a guest here, Kenny Wright, and he has done, I guess I would say, would you say a lot of land deals, Kenny?
Would you say I have a plethora?
Would you say, would you say they were falling from the sky?
No, you have to go work them, but it's not my only thing. Like you said, you expertly do the if that's a word, the lease options. I do those too. I just kind of always was looking for a way to have different I guess tools in my utility belt.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one thing. It's just like, okay, everybody told me I couldn't do lease options in Texas. People are respected, not only investors, but brokers, lawyers. Who am I to question that? But, I'm kind of like, in a way, challenge accepted. So I actually broke it out and read the dynamics of it. You and I have gone over that and taught a class on your group. So, and it's not my only thing, but it's a thing. And just because I happen to be more based here, the opportunities present themselves more so. But these are things that you can do, obviously, virtually, and land is definitely something in particular. Or you want me to hold off a minute?
Oh no, I mean I was enjoying the flow there, man.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll since you kind of paused there, let me step in here and welcome everybody one more time. And thank you for being here. This is a land flipping class. It's our guest speaker, Kenny Wright. He's basically describing what it means to be a full spectrum wholesaler. You guys have heard that from me. That's my term for it, which means you're not just a one trick pony, like, hey, I don't even know how people that focus just on ugly house business make it. And a lot of them don't, With that being said, I've done this many of those this month. Okay. So that's just me, but I'm not focusing on that. I'm doing lease options and whatever else, whatever other good thing that I can put my hand to. So, Kenny is well versed in land. We also have LaShonda here, and you guys know her. Okay. And you guys know Kenny too, but you guys know LaShonda and you guys know Sandra because they are some land assassins, man. Is that a good word for it, LaShonda? Sandra?
Shit, yeah.
Land assassins. I love it. All right, so yeah, I'm real excited about it. I do not know what Kenny has planned or the flow, but I do believe Kenny wants this to be interactive. Is that right, sir?
Yeah, I mean, because that's the whole point. There's got to be some questions. Like for instance, okay, I'm not really familiar where the general consensus is from. Like everybody kind of knows, there's no secret. I'm from the Southeast Texas and the Houston area, but work in different states. You're in Kansas City, but you work in different areas. Where are some of you from, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Oklahoma.
Where Ed?
Corey said Oklahoma.
Okay.
Indianapolis here.
Portland, Oregon.
Illinois.
Jason Richter in the chat said Virginia Beach.
LaShonda, where y'all at?
KC, baby, KC.
Woo! 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 Woo!
Representing.
Just in this small group, do you see how vastly spread out we all are? Certain laws and dynamics will affect, but for the general consensus, everything's pretty much going to flow a certain way, with it, give or take certain things. But a lot of stuff's going to be mimic where you go, and you just have to know those actual laws when you're in that area. But it's nice to see you've got a very nice spread out arrangement of attendance here that's in your group all the time.
You guys are beautiful. Thank you. And there's even more people than this. There's multiplied numbers of people. Now that's an exaggeration. But it's like this is going to get tens and tens of views for sure. I'm just messing with you guys.
Yeah, if we can get 10, maybe 15.
Hey, there's people from California. There's people from the East Coast. There's people from other countries that watch this stuff. Hey, thank you for watching, everybody. But yeah, we got a real diverse group here. You're right.
So, one thing you would want to, I guess you would ask, or if you're watching other people, and I'm not a guru in any way, shape, or form. I'm not even selling anything. I don't have anything in my raincoat to open up and sell you some watches in a course. Or I will say that one of the biggest mysteries that seem to be, wow, that's different. I don't know how to do that, or not. I mean, obviously LaShonda and Sandra are doing it, but would you agree, either one of you, that there's really no mystery, LaShonda?
There is no mystery at all.
And I'll go so far as to tell you all before we even get started, so we can adjourn right now if you want. Everything you're learning in this mastermind group and everything you're learning from Justin's teaching, you already know how to do it.
Really? Wow.
So there's no, so in that respect, it sounds like, well, then what the hell are you going to talk about, Kenny? I don't know. But the fact is, you're already doing it. You just think, oh, well, I'm talking about land. Some people will mask it and tell you, hey, man, you don't want to mess with whether it's tenants or whatever. I mean, like I refer to it as the 4 R's: rodents, renters, renovations, and repairs. But the truth is, I don't care about that, because the bigger the opportunity, the bigger the reward. So houses are a reward. I got into it thinking about creative financing, and I do all different types of creative financing, and that's more my niche. Lease options, no matter what the state, no matter what different things I can and cannot do, as long as I'm within the confines of the law, they appeal to me so that I can help a seller a different way, rather than just say, like, if you have a one-trick pony in your bag, you can't help those people. Like if I didn't know about short sales, and I didn't have something like Bobby to turn to, where I could do that kind of stuff, then I would just pass on those people. And that's a shame. So you got to be versed in it enough to where at least you know where to pass it off and tee it up right and educate the client.
Yeah.
Even if you just know enough to get it under an agreement. And then, I get a lot of opportunities now because people know me and I have enough of a buyer's list that I can get things closed. So that's another reason that people reach out to me, but it's not because I'm marketing to sell a book or sell something here. My past, we started Justin and I kind of started similar in this several years ago. And we've just been friends ever since, getting to know each other and cheering each other on. So most of y'all know that from us talking before on some different things, but I went and built a short-term rental business, my wife and I, and we started that out of raw, literally just experimented enough to lease a half of a duplex in town. And found out some do's and don'ts and kept adding to it and adding to it, and eventually sold it out because we were actually looking to relocate. We wanted to be close to where we build that, and when we move out of the Houston area, we actually are going to have that again because that is an incredible business opportunity. But I don't want to operate it from afar like some people do. But that's just a personal choice for us that we wanted to be ready to go, and we had a good buyer at the time, so we did that. But when you can get 2 and 3 times your rent factor, it's a great opportunity to pay down your equity if you own it. If not, you can always rent it and be a really stellar tenant for who you're doing it. I'd do it either way again without even buying. So it definitely, not here to talk about that. I'm just saying there's all different creative ways that you can put something together. But when I talk about one niche I like about land is because there's less people doing it. And you should all be taking advantage of it and doing it. And I want to show you that there's no big mystery here. You already know the tactics. So I'm not really going to harp on that and go back to one-on-one because all of that's in the strategies that you do every day anyway. One of the key things that a lot of people will teach you with different land things is mailing blind offers. And I'm just not big into a lot of mail. I'm not saying it's not bad, but it's a certain element. But I'm just not really big on the lack of return you get. And I definitely like interacting and talking to people like we're talking now. You know, somebody will probably contact me and we'll put a deal together and I'll help them close it. And you know, but that's good. And we build an ongoing rapport. But I'm just doing it to help some other people is why I'm talking today. I just got off the phone with my morning rituals calling people, and I'll take a break after this. And I've got my afternoon stuff. I like working the phones. I like talking to people, whether they're follow-up or whether it's actually fresh off my whatever county list I've got that I'm working. Yeah.
So is that how you come across these land deals? So what you're saying is that really we're already doing what we just could really literally incorporate land very easily into what I already teach people to do for lease options and stuff. So is that how you recommend folks do it, is get a list from the county? Is that what you were saying? Or how do folks go about finding, first of all, land to text blast or to text the homeowners or the landowners? Can you talk
great
a little
question.
bit about that?
That's you're like reading my page.
Oh, okay.
That's perfect. I love it. But I wanted to finish up with one thing and I'll tie back to it. One of the reasons that I like it so much is because I'm a big proponent of mailbox money. And so I can assign a deal wholesale and it's a one and done deal. Or I can get control of the property, whether it be a home or lease option. I can't do sandwich leases in Texas, but if I work outside of there, I can. So that's ongoing money that most of you can all participate if you're doing it in your neighborhood. So I have to do it elsewhere. Otherwise, it's a one and done tenant fee. But what I can do is convert it to owner financing. And I do love mailbox money. So with a lot, vacant lot specifically, when I talk about land, rather than large desert lands and stuff like that, I really am not that guy. My niche is more or less looking at different lots or lots that I can convert to different lots. So this is something that I hope to add to what you are already complementing with what you're learning. And this is how I get them. There's a ton of ways you can do it. You can obviously get vacant land from PropStream. You can get opportunities and pick your niche and put your criteria in there. But there's not a lot of things that you can do that you can actually buy something and for sure get 100%, return on investment. I mean, there's just not. You can't buy a house and fix it up and in most cases get 100% return on investment. But you can with land, and even more so because you can turn around and get usually enough money down to almost cover your initial expense. And then you've got they're paying out the note, whether you're carrying a note for $20,000, $25,000, but you may only have $2,000 to $5,000 in the property.
Yeah.
Or, which is my best, I love getting anything under creative financing. So I'm working one right now. I'll share the screen later and I'll show you this one. And where they want, you know, a little higher than the law should allow for the property right now. So they're not motivated. But if they get to where we can talk a little bit and they get creative with me, then that's one way that I can take it under terms. And of course, then my favorite way to acquire them is just get it under option. It's right back to what y'all do anyway.
Right.
Not a lease option. You're just getting an option to buy it. But you're also doing it as an option to market it. You're getting to market it, to assign your interest in it. Clearly says in investor terms that we're going to be wholesaling it. But it just says that we're going to be assigning our interest, equitable interest in the contract agreement. But you're getting the option to buy it. Now with that, if they've been marketing it or haven't, you know, after you've done your homework, that's why conversations are more important than sometimes mailing, because ultimately you've got to have that conversation and you build that rapport and earn that trust. But if you can get to where you're finding out, as soon as you found out, A, do you own it? B, do you want to sell it? Then you turn right around and ask them, oh, why do you want to sell it? And I know I get called on that a lot of times, like, well, you know, or you just asked me the same question backwards. Well, now I'm really trying to find out their motivation, you know, but yeah, I'll come right around and it sounds silly, but you know, you tell me why you're even thinking about partnering with it. And once they'll start, whether it's they need money, they've tried to do this, but you got to let them talk more than you're talking. And that's true of whether you're doing houses or whatever. But if you can look at it, the thing you want to look at when you're looking at like infill lots are actually a bread and butter for me. And when I say that, it's not necessarily, it could be the houses in the neighborhood, but it's also just not quite built yet anywhere around it. Not that it's just that one-off vacant one. Because another niche that's come up, these people that you can market to, that's kind of unforeseen, because you can join anything with social media and market to people different ways. And don't underestimate LinkedIn. Don't on any of your things you're marketing, not just Craigslist or anything, but don't underestimate the power of LinkedIn, but for buying and selling. But also don't underestimate the power of the tons of free sites, but you can also get into meetup groups. So one in particular that I'll share with everybody is RVs. There's a lot of people that will buy if it's even near a lake. I'm not talking about lakefront property. I just meant it's near a lake. That means within a few miles, not walking distance, but they can go camp out for the weekend with their RV. Now they may or may not, they would pay more if it had applicable accesses to where someday they could put water and electric, like a typical campsite.
Sure.
But if they have their RV, they're self-contained when they get there anyway. And they may, that doesn't preclude them. They may just want to pour a concrete pad or even put out a gravel deal to have it more level, but that's their doing. You don't go in and build it and do all that. There are times when you may get with the county, depending on what it is, and you may have a culvert put in just to make it market better. If it's cleared enough, but it's,
are we talking about not treed though? Because there's a lot of treed lots.
Yeah, you don't want to get into clearing trees. That's expensive. But if it's just a brush hog will do it, at least they can see it. Another thing people don't know with surveys, they think they get a survey in a minute. That was several $1,000s, but you don't have to do that. You don't need a topography and all the other stuff that goes with that. All you need are the 4 corner stakes and a boundary survey, which is just like we do for the houses, which is less than $400.
Okay, hold on. Let me pause for a second, because
Yeah,
you've really dropped a lot of information on us here in just the last several minutes, and talking about basically really your possible exit strategies here. You know, like you were talking about option, you were talking about maybe picking up a property through creative finance where they creative finance to you, and then maybe you creative finance again to someone else. Lots of different creative scenarios can be possible with this stuff. And then also you were talking about owning land, like picking up cheap land for maybe a few $1,000s and then selling it for twice the amount, or maybe putting it owner finance and making 3 times the amount.
Yeah,
or,
if
or
you can pick
more.
up a property for $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000, it's not
Yeah.
uncommon. And because it's more of just a pain, a burden to somebody. And then you can turn around and sell it for 12 cash,
Yeah.
or you can sell it for 20 with terms.
With financing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What all depending on what your personal needs are at the time, right? So wow, that's great. And this would also, so this is applicable to city lots, in like you were saying, neighborhoods, for example,
Right, infill lots.
or also like you could do like maybe a few miles from a lake or some attraction, or
Or coastal
about,
areas,
like,
real popular, right?
what about state parks? Real nice state parks. Sometimes if they're on the outskirts of that, a lot of times those come with lakes and stuff too, or hiking trails and all kinds of scenic
Yeah, if
stuff.
they're on the outer boundaries, obviously within
Yeah.
certain national forests, you can't really, you got a whole different kind of, like we have certain national.
Oh yeah,
forests
well I'm not
just
saying
Yeah.
I'm not saying flipping the government's land, but I mean like outside of that, I've actually done some lease options out in those type of
Mhm.
areas. So I never even thought about it. I don't know why. I've never thought the land itself, because there is a lot of that going on out there too.
Yeah, keep in mind, we're not talking about um, acres. Now, we could be, but we're talking about 5,000 to 7,500 square feet. I mean, we're talking,
Yeah.
little lots
Yeah.
like that, even out there. So imagine if you, so even subdividing, let's say you got a hold of something that was maybe 3 acres. If you look at it, in most cases, it's already years ago was pre-platted. Now it has one tax ID number now, but if you go back and look at it, and if as long as you're going to stay within the pre-platted format, usually it's just email the zoning and the office, and they'll actually just assign the new tax ID numbers. Why would they do that for no hassle to you?
Wow,
Because
it's that easy.
eventually
It's that
they're going to
easy
get more
subdivide?
taxes.
Wow.
Yeah, because they think somebody's going to build on that and they're going to get more taxes. If it just will. It's not the same amount times 3. There's a hope for gain, because once they build a structure or do anything, then there is some difference of revenue going to come. But you could take the same land that you got a hold of and then divide it out, and you could have different notes coming in. Meanwhile, also getting you sold the one, it's probably more than
Right.
going to pay for it.
Right.
But I think we had a call on here one time. I was talking about one, and I picked up a property in town, but it had adjacent to 2 lots with it. Well, it was really 1 lot, but once I looked at it further, it had been pre-platted years ago. So we actually we sold the house, and then we turned around and took the other 2 lots and got them, and it was all free. We just emailed in, and they gave it back to us with the new tax ID numbers, and we marketed them that way. And I did those owner finance.
So I don't mean to be rudimentary here, but you've got me kind of excited here, because I'm starting to see the possibilities of all the things that can be done with land, whether rural or urban or suburban, probably would even be the best. But now that we've talked about that, how do I know when a deal is a deal? And I can easily add land to my marketing. I can easily do that. I can add land to my marketing where I'm sending out text messages to landowners, just like I'm sending out text messages to for sale by owners or for rent by owners. Easy to add that in. You're right. So how do I know how do I know what to offer? How do I know this is a deal? How do I know this is something worth pursuing? Or what is your advice, your best tips there for that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking about comping it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just comps, just like normal single family residences, or how's that work?
Well, the thing is, even if you look at a house right now, if you go back and look at something in May, I'm getting off subject of land, that's a whole different set of numbers than what's happened in the last 30 days.
Well,
So
sure.
even then, we used to look back at 4 months or 6 months for data if there was enough to kind of get a guide. But now we
Right.
really have to look in the last 30 days because we're in a unique situation. And that's not always, obviously you have less market opportunities in certain infill lots. So you're not going to see that quicker turnover. But what you can break down is what did the house sell for? What is required in that area? Because that's where I was going to get to. You have to also look at what can you do with the property, and you think about who are you serving. So what can be done with the property? And that's one thing you want to ask questions. I was going to talk about that a lot of this
Yeah.
you get from the homeowner, but you still want to do your due diligence and validate it before you move forward. But so one thing you want to ask them a lot of times is, what can and can't be done? What used to be done to the property? What do the neighbors do with their property?
Yeah.
Because if you're not there and you're doing this a little more virtual and it wasn't drive-by, you can look at certain things on Google, but you kind of need to know what is going on over there. Like you may have a pig farmer next door. And that
right.
my point is that you need to kind of know what's going on.
Yeah.
And but if let's say we're in neighborhoods, okay, let's say we're just looking at neighborhoods, and that'll tie me back with one other marketing thing I wanted to talk about that I don't think people think about. And everybody leaves here today should definitely go do this for a lot of reasons, what I'm going to talk about. But one thing you want to look at is, and a lot of people may or may not know this already, so if this is redundant, bear with me. But if it's in a floodplain by FEMA, you can build on it. But if it's in a floodway, the city zoning has looked at it and they know at some point for drainages that property is going to take on water. So they're not going to let you build at least on a section of it. And you have to look at it. For instance, there's a property we're working in another part of the state, and you have to think in account of the road. And the road has so much easement. In this case, it was 25 feet, but you need to check how much you have to be off from where the easement starts and stops, where you can put your foundation line, and you need to validate that. Well, there's enough room on that particular property to build, even though the back half of it is not only in the flood plain, it's also in the floodway. So there is going to be water on the back little part of that. At some point through rains and stuff, there will be drainage enough that will happen. But the property, or there's property that I know of personally. Somebody got all excited and bought some property, and they were really all happy. Myself and some other people knew that even though there's other houses around it, those had been there, grandfathered in or whatever. You're not going to change them, but things had changed, and you have to bring in and elevate that whole lot 10 feet or higher before you can build. That is a ton of money.
How do you find this out? How do you find this out, Kenny? Like
you
if
call
I'm
your
looking
zoning and planning, and it's just a phone call. If because whatever you get from the owner, remember they either maybe not know, or they may be withholding, but you ask a lot of questions up front, and then you just call and talk to them and say, hey, I'm looking at such and such, and can you tell me what's going on? You can do all this over the phone. A lot of times they'll even be kind enough. They're really nice. They'll be kind enough to share with you a map of what's going on, because you can look at the FEMA map. I'm not a realtor, so I don't have access. I did have access with a friend, but I'm limited on the one access I have with the MLS. And there's other really good sites you can use with the matrix, but it has to be within what you subscribe to and what your county. And so since I cast a little bit wider fishing line sometimes, there's no way I can have all that access everywhere I go.
Well, sure.
But if you do have it, then that is an actual really good way to show some different comps. I have to work with what I use, and that's what I'm sharing with you. Also, less investment, not subscribing to certain things. So you got all your basic free sites that you look at, and you can kind of get some kind of idea what's going on. Not to mention, Prep Stream's not free, but I think everybody pretty much uses it. That's definitely got a lot of data for off market and on market. With that, you get kind of a gauged idea, but keep in mind, whatever the lot's typically ideally selling for, let's say you're looking at a neighborhood, you know that the house has to be 2,000 square feet to minimum per HOA. You know it's probably going to draw down somewhere, hypothetically, $250,000 for the property. Well, you got to figure, okay, well then the dirt is pretty much going to bring somewhere around 13 to 15% of that.
Okay, interesting.
Then I wanted to tie back and get to where you wanted to go.
But is that standard like all across the board, coast to coast, or what? How do we know that that's?
I mean, there are places that it would bring more.
Okay.
So I hate to say there's a standard key,
Sure.
because then you might miss an opportunity when you go, man, he told me that, and that
Right.
this property's, I could have sold it for 60. So therefore you could have offered more. But keep in mind, you want to get as many of these under option to buy rather than you outlay in cash. The only
Yeah.
reason I outlay cash is if it's really a highly motivated person and it's really, really cheap.
Okay. Gotcha.
There's a friend of mine that picked up a property, and he was just going to do a one and done, and he actually got it for $2,500. And it was near a place where they have an annual carnival or fair. And this was in the fall. And I said, well, first of all, you need to take the 21 days that thing's operating, and you need to just man that deal and do parking. Well, he ended up picking up, I don't know, somewhere around $13,000, $14,000. And that's train ride to American dollars every day. There was no swiping cards or anything like that. That was cash. And at the same time, one of the guys that he did park there, they exchanged information. He ended up coming back and they were talking, and he really didn't know how to present it. He says, well, I guess I might sell it for 12. And I told him, I said, you don't sell it for 12. You tell him he can buy it on terms. He goes, well, man, that's good money. I said, tell you what, why don't you sell it to me for 12? I'll go sell it to him for 25, and I'll carry the note. So I just told him what to do, and he got the mailbox money and everything else. I said, the guy will do it. Plus he didn't have to outlay all the cash. He's just going to outlay. I said, just tell him, give me $5,000. You're covered. Plus you made cash, and then he gets to pay the note while he's figuring out what he wants to build on it.
That's so smart.
So anyway, that was
so
just
simple and so easy.
That's the thing. We as a group here, we complicate things.
Well, sure.
It really is. You just need to learn your laws. Take time. Don't listen to. I mean, you want to listen to somebody, but ultimately, you need to read. You're responsible. You need to do your due diligence, and you need to take a moment to do that in your non-productive time and pay attention to that way. When someone challenges you, whether they be it attorney or whatever, you can call on it, and you could, I can't tell you how many I've had to, because they're licensed at one thing doesn't mean that they know everything. And I didn't do my typical disclaimer when we started this, but I'm not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a broker. I'm not an agent. I'm not a doctor. What else am I not? I'm not a pest control guy. I'm not a fortune teller, but I do have my magic 8-ball. So the point is, all those people are for hire. We can pay them a fee to process something we need it done. They're all for hire. And I like being great relationships with those people, title people, because we need them. I love agents and realtors because this is another thing we talked about. How would you look for this? You asked me. Another thing I wanted to get to was whether it's your area that you live or whether you're looking at, you just happen to be already fishing in another pond. So you know that area anyway, whether it's virtual or not. Then look at the outside urban growth, the potential growth. And with that, you get involved with, drive to that area one day and go to a Rotary meeting or something. I promise you, somebody in there knows what's going on, where they're about to build this gas station and this bank, and this stuff's going to be happening later. I mean, can you imagine if you did like, I know a situation where, and this one, shame on me, I missed the opportunity. He got the house. It was a tear down and he was all upset about it. But I said, but again, I'm just trying to give advice like I am here. So he wound up calling Habitat for Humanity. They loved the old stuff that was in it. So they took all of that and then took the rest of it. That saved him. And he wound up getting a huge thousands of dollars tax benefit off of it. Then it sat there for a while. And then he was eventually approached by a bank who now came in and did a master lease with him, built a huge facility on his land, and he's got mailbox money forever.
It's awesome.
And he was just going to do a one and done
Yeah.
flipperoo
Well,
and
sure.
stuff like that. So, I mean, the point is, but because growth went out there, you know, it's
Right.
one of the things that happen. So there's an opportunity where you figure out where that is. And as you're making these fees and different fees and you're stashing money, you're like, well, this one I'm going to put back. Well, with that land, you don't have any maintenance, and that's stuff you can put back on because something is going to grow out there.
Right.
Meanwhile, you can always set it up for terms or whatever. And as now, that's going to take time. That's not tomorrow. That's,
Or even get an option on it. That would be, yeah. I mean, that's, oh man.
now your
it's really
options are going to
good.
be,
Yeah.
you know, where you want to try to get it done quick. I don't have any problem with this. Some people act like they do, but if you are forthright with your owner seller, and then I just don't have any problem with it. But I'm very straightforward with people about stuff. But getting anywhere from 120 to 180 days on your option, because you know there's a lot more involved with the logistics of what we're going to build there, what's done, and we got to get soil done. So there's a lot of things you can talk about that generally go, oh, okay. They go, okay. I said, well, do you have somebody ready to buy it right now? And I come right back to that. I said, because if you do, I can move on to the next one. I mean, you got to
Wow.
always do the takeaway. Remember,
Yeah.
you want the motivated seller. You never want to be the motivated buyer.
Right.
So I hope that kind of helps. And I'm trying
Yeah.
to tie that up a little bit.
It's really
Uh,
good. I do want to talk a little more about, and you mentioned this earlier, you depending on your exit strategy, it opens up a lot of potential different types of buyers for us
Yes.
to buy these land deals. So what's the best way to go about finding, I mean, I know you said before you go in, and of course everybody's heard this, and if you haven't heard it now, you need to hear it now, because the number one rule of real estate investing is know where the back door is before you go in the front door. Right.
You want to
That's-
look, obviously, in a traditional sense, you would look up, and you can do that on Zillow or Redfin. It's free. You can look up sold properties in the last 6 months to a year, but you want to look them up that they were somewhat new construction, and that's easy to
Yeah.
look up and see. Or was it a complete flipped rehab, and they may be willing to take on such a project. So let's say
Okay,
I've got
so-
an infill.
So once I get, that's awesome information. Thank you for sharing that. But also, where do I find, now that let's assume I have a deal under contract with a landowner, where do I now market the deal to? Or should I have a buyer already lined up beforehand? Or is there a bit of, is being a true professional having a little bit of both going on? Or what? Do you understand the question? Where I'm
I
getting
do,
at with
but
this?
if you've got an option, or you're not, you still have an, I say inspection period, either way, at the very least, if it's not a longer term option, you have a longer term inspection period. So either way, you've got an out. So, but just no different
I
than
see.
we would any other property. But you first
So
want to
it's worth
start
taking
looking
a
at,
shot at for sure. Even if you don't have a buyer lined up, you take a shot at it because you're going to get a no cost option here, really.
yeah. So if you, I guess, are fishing with the cane pole in the water and you're just hoping the fish bites on it, that's like a lot of realtors that are not as aggressive. And therefore, that's not what we do. We have to go get the school of fish and bring them over and show them how awesome this is.
Right.
If you find one that got completely studs up renovated, not even a rebuild, right near where you're at, because let's face it, like we've got one deal here that is not far from me, and it's actually one that I'm working with the guy, but but there's several like that, but this one in particular is in my mind because we just hung up a while ago. And there's nothing to build around it. Everything's there. So there is no real immediate comp without crossing a major road or anything else. But there are some people that would be interested. And from that, you built up that rapport, you've done business. But the number one thing I do is you want to use your realtors in your hip pocket. And with that, you go find who just sold a recent flip that was completely redone, upgraded, updated in the area. If not a rebuild itself, that agent already has somebody, because they want to help connect you and they want to be the hero and bring that back to the other person they invested. They got the rapport and credibility. So let them benefit besides, and then you're going to have somebody else in your hip pocket to do business with later. Because remember, these are good friends to have when you find one that really is a hustler.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's how I use those.
Yeah.
And I can do that from here. And, but getting to that, I wanted to talk about ways that I pick up stuff. You naturally are always doing your driving for dollars. Even if you're doing it, you can only do so much of it, but you get it done through other people. And instead of paying somebody, I find it's better to set up people that are interested in learning a little bit about real estate and just be honest and say, hey, there's some free sites and stuff like that. But if you really, they always want a little hand holding. Everybody does. So that's where, okay, like your situation that you just started, we were talking about that, you and I one-on-one the other day, and you've got people that are getting the seller so far.
Yeah.
And then you go and show them how to take it the rest of the way.
Right.
But the farther each time somebody does it, they're going to get farther and farther and get more autonomous.
Right.
But they may still always want to JV with you because
Sure.
they have credibility with you, they believe in you, and they know that you can get it closed with the other side of the coin. That's
Exactly.
That's all healthy and positive. Well, this is no different than me JVing with somebody that has got everything together. I look at it and say, yeah, I think I can get us a buyer together. And let me see what I can do. And we'll go from there.
Wow.
If I can't, then nothing can happen. Well, in this case, I've got some people driving around looking at properties. They'll send me a couple listings. They'll also take I do a little simple sticker. I don't have one laying here, but it's just something like, hey, my name is Kenny. I was driving by and I saw your place. I had some questions, and I'll stick it on the outside of the mailbox, or if I have to, go up by the front door. Well, they have those too, and they'll do it, and it goes to a separate number that is only for that. I know I know what it is, and actually the way I have it done is each number is I know without them, because they've never met the person, so I know who actually left the sticker because the number's assigned to that person too. But I do that because they get paid a little, fee for every time I put something together. I keep them noted on it, and that gets them a little energetic drug high. But here's the thing: when you catch a couple that like, wow, that tasted good, I'd like to get some more. And I say, well, this is what I would do, and I would encourage everybody here to do. And I didn't even talk to you about this, Justin, but so can you imagine if you got one or two deals from them, just doing a fee, and then later they really like, well, how do you? I said, well, listen, I'll tell you what, I don't have time to really teach you, but I can work with you on your deals. But in the meantime, I'm going to pay for you to have your first year's tuition and join Justin's group. Well, they've already given you a couple of deals. Imagine if they gave you the third one and they actually sign up with you, and you sign that person up, and you actually front pay it. That's the kind of thing I would do.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
I like
And then
that.
they're in your group, they're learning your ways, but you're not really the one getting tying up your time with it, other than when they get a deal. Keep
Right.
in mind, they're still going to bring you that deal, you're still going to close it, and you're still going to be the hero, and you're still going to work it out. But each time their percentage gets higher and yours gets a little less. But hey, what's wrong with that? I'll take half of a deal any day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
It's a
that's
little-
something I
it's
didn't
it's
get
like
to
a
talk to you
burden.
about it, but that's something that everybody here should use that as an opportunity to
Yeah.
go get you a couple of interns. And that's and it's a great program that's
Well-
already in place, and they could be learning and speaking the same language you are.
We used to call those bird dogs, right?
Well, you wouldn't, a bird dog is at first, you wouldn't open your raincoat and show them this, but after 3 deals, sure, I'd pay the subscription and get you
There you
hooked up.
go.
Yeah.
Guys, he has dropped so many awesome business hints today. I'm blown away, really, at
I have
how
one more before we
good this was.
bust up here, if you don't mind.
Oh no, I don't mind.
Okay, everybody lives here somewhere in all the place you said in the country. Hey, Victor, I saw you sneak in. Does anybody here, I guess I shouldn't assume, you should never do that. Does anybody here live somewhere where you do not have any kind of a fire department nearby? I can't imagine that that's true. Everybody has a fire department, right? Okay, your fire department is a great place to get leads.
For land leads.
Yeah, well, I get a couple different leads. Once you get the report, remember, everything comes through there is a matter of public records. But you build the rapport, and like when I'm in the middle of the afternoon, my non-productive time, and I've been presented with a honeydew list to go pick up some stuff at the store, I typically will be there about that time when I'm done my morning rituals, and she'll say, hey, go pick this up or whatever. Well, the fire department, and usually it's a couple stations, will pull into the local HEB grocery store and with their big truck ceremoniously and pull right up front. And there's 2 or 3 guys, and they all jump out like the Marx Brothers, and they divide up the grocery store and go pick up. So I just started talking to them little by little. And it's not always the same guys because they work their shifts. And then I became a familiar face and a familiar voice. And I would then stop by their place. Little by little, you get to where you can pick up. You talk to them about what you're doing and an opportunity. And listen, for every lead I get, guys, that I can help somebody, I'll come back and feed you guys steaks. Or if y'all want something else, I can just put it in your fund. They love that. But you need to go and be friends with any number of fire departments. But you're not only going to, because guess what happened? If it's a fire, it just became a vacant lot. But you know about it. And this is where you don't go predator the owner. You call them and talk to them and say, Justin, you just had your Firebird, you placed it down. So ring, ring.
Hello?
Hey, this is Kenny with XYZ Realty, and I'm just looking to talk to the owner of Syndicate. Am I talking to the right person?
Did you say you're looking for the owner? My phone got damaged in a fire. I can barely hear you.
I am so sorry to hear that. Do you need a new phone?
Man, we need a new everything.
Has anyone discussed your options with you?
Well, I don't really know what options we have other than we're trying to get insurance to cooperate with us, and we're also, staying over at my in-laws.
Oh, okay. So everybody's safe there. That's fine. Do you need any help from, and that's when I would ask questions like, because I could recommend some social services and things like that. A lot of people. So I'll do that kind of a thing. Just kind of off record, off role play here. The thing is, I'm contacting them very obliging, and they've got the whole world crashed in on them. I'm not calling them to go, hey, you want to sell your property? I'm calling to ask, is there anything that I can recommend? And you've got a list of things in your area that do help these people, because when this all happens, they're not thinking. And then you want to get them connected, whether it's a church, different things where they have good funded ministries to help out. What do you need? Because you can't personally just go over and fulfill that, but you can get you need to be the connector. The number one thing you want to look at is getting to the point of helping them through the insurance process. By doing that, you've built up your rapport, you've learned that and talked to them. And then what I end up doing is time's going by. I do tell them this is what's going to happen. If you're not planning to rebuild, because keep in mind, they're going to pay off the mortgage. That's one reason that they didn't let you borrow 100% of the equity. They always left a certain percentage of the equity and you probably paid that down. So the land is always typically, in most cases, you're always typically safe. So they pay off the house, the mortgage is paid for, the land is sitting there, and the person is typically going to go and either rent something else, build something else, or buy into something that's already built. So now you've got a vacant lot that you can talk to, and then you can go connect it and get it sold. Once it's all done and paid for, they don't really want to keep up with the HOA. They don't want to keep up with the taxes. And it may take a while. It may go real quick, but eventually they're going to be annoyed with it enough. If they're not planning on doing anything with it, and they do even put a sign out and list it. So many times you'll see those as expired listings and the person doesn't really get it. Let it expire unless you can get some dialogue going with the agent that they'll do it. But in most cases, if it's not selling, it's not marketed right. So you just kind of keep an eye on it and check back so you're not getting caught into tortfeasance and crossing paths on top of an active listing or something.
So this has been great, Kenny.
Okay, there's one last thing. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry.
I apologize. The other thing I get from the fire departments, they get called out on fires. They also get called out on codes. So that takes us to my probates. So
Okay.
just saying, that's a whole nother kind of marketing. That's a whole nother kind of thing for us to talk about. And you definitely do not call those people right away, but you're going to get two different kind of listings. You can't just tell the fire department, well, only send me these. No, you go through and do your due diligence and whittle them out. If you don't want to handle that kind of stuff, well, send them to me. But,
Right.
I will. But I get two different things from those groups. And once you get it going and it's flowing in, you're going to get it every week. It's just like going to get your code violations or how you get your water shutoffs and stuff. So those are the places I fish that people don't fish.
Smart.
Because the harder to get those lists, the less people are around. Doesn't make me smarter. It just means that I don't like to work as hard.
And that's smart. That's pretty smart.
So now I'll shut up.
No. That's awesome, dude. I'm really glad that you've brought all this info to us today. Super awesome, good info. I did want to open up the floor to Sandra and LaShonda. And I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to share what they have on their hearts and minds too. But I do want to also open the floor for questions. Has anybody got any questions for Kenny? Anybody got any questions about land stuff or anything that Kenny was sharing about? I know he kind of went over a lot of stuff. Like he started with exit strategies and ended up all the way with marketing and how to converse with the homeowner and getting values, and there's lots of different stuff going on there. So any questions about any of that?
Yeah, I had a question, Kenny, about the fire department.
Yes, ma'am.
What exactly are you saying when because I tried to get some information from the fire department before. How are you asking for the information that you're trying to get when it comes to the land? Are you just asking for fire properties that have caught fire and those addresses, and you're going and looking up and seeing if the property has been destroyed completely?
No, you have to whittle through. Some of them might be that what I get is a list of properties that they got called out on. So it could be codes, meaning somebody coded.
Okay.
Now you have to differentiate. They may be in assisted living or something. You're not going to call on that property,
Right.
but they may really be in their home. There could be a immediate surviving spouse, and there could not be. You have to look at that. In which case, the point is, it's shall we say, it's pre-probate. I mean, it hasn't even begun to be thought about. It hasn't. You're not catching it. You're finding this information out probably before their services are noted in the paper. So it's way too soon to call on that stuff to the survivors. But you just kind of note that to the side. But you differentiate, is it even a house? Is it even owned by them? That's a quick thing you can do 3 a.m. when you can't sleep and you're not using your phone time, you can look that up and at least know if that's a keeper or not. And then you can note when you're going to follow back up with it. And then with those, and I know that's not what we're trying to talk about here. I do a call, text, mail, and I spread it out every month with something, and I just keep going to the actual person that's going to have in trust with it. When it comes to the fire and how to get back to your question better, I just present myself and who I am and what I do. Like I bump into them at the grocery store, and then I go stop by, but they've got a familiarity. I found a way to get a familiar. Somebody knows somebody. Also join some type of group nearby that's something with, like I'm a part of different law enforcement things, and with social media, there's different, and military, there's different groups that you can find out certain things. Well, just like first responders, they've got their own little groups too. And it's not that you're marketing in it, but through those connections, they knew somebody at another station and they got me hooked up. And, once you get the door open, then a lot of times they'll get you hooked up somewhere else. But once you get there, you also have the credibility to walk in somewhere else and go, well, this is what I'm doing over here,
Yeah. It sounds crazy, but I've got connections with the fire department here in Kansas City. I don't know how good they are, like I don't really try to work them like what we're talking about. I haven't, maybe I should, but I got those connections really honestly on Craigslist, if you want to believe it or not. Like,
Yeah. You're trying to help people. And that's the thing. You ask, how would you go about it? You just be very sincere and talk about what you're trying to do, because ultimately people don't know their options.
Yeah.
The fireman's not going to go back and handle that. It's not their responsibility. They got enough to deal with.
Yeah.
But I like to share with people what their options are. Generally, when I talk to them, they all drop their guard. They're ready to talk. And I haven't really had anybody give me well, you can't get that information thing. And if they had, you always can pull out the FAO and file it if you have to. I mean, it's not an issue because it is public information.
You bring up a great point, because I was thinking about this guy that I have a connection with. In fact, he just reached out to me again like 2 days ago, and he's like, hey, I want to get my real estate license. Well, but what he's been doing for me is I don't know why, it's like one of these things where it just never clicked for me, I guess. But why did I not maybe nurture that relationship a little more? Because every now and then he'll bring me a deal, and it'll be literally it's usually a deal that's been on fire, or it's been flooded, or something really bad has happened to it, and I don't know why. I should have nurtured that a little more, but maybe now that I recognize it, I will. But yeah,
listen, I'm guilty of this probably more than anyone here, not telling everybody what I do. And what you just said, you don't nurture it enough. It needs to become, you need to find a way. What it was Claude always tell us. And listen, I'm the worst recovering introvert. And I just want to go in the store, get my stuff and get out. When he would say challenge us to go talk to somebody, I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. But the truth is, now you've got certain people that see you, even if they go part-time and they work different shifts, they see you when you go through. I'm just giving that example. If it's the post office, those are full-time employees. They're there. I try to go to the same one or two people, and I'm just always talking to them. Who knows better than the houses that are empty?
Right.
Your post person.
Yeah. Post office guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And show them a little kindness and love, and especially, and if it's not just your area, but when you're driving by. There's just, you can't be super weirdo guy and drive up by their truck. They're going to be nervous, but you have to build that rapport where they're not nervous the way you're coming by. But yeah.
I want somebody to try it. Just try my idea and put an ad on Craigslist and make the headline, male personnel, or whatever you want to say, mailman or U.S. Postal Service workers and firemen wanted. And just Just introduce yourself in the body of the ad and see if anybody contacts you. Because I tell them what you want to do in the body of the ad. I've literally done this, and this is how I kind of got going in this respect. And of course, like I said, I haven't used it in the right ways because I didn't know. But now that I know, I'm going to start doing some of this a little bit more too here in my local market. This is great, Kenny. Thank you for sharing a lot of these ideas, man.
I hope it helps. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to clarify in the beginning. I don't have any new strategies, you guys.
Sure.
I mean, I did give you some things you probably hadn't heard, but I'm just giving you things that work for me.
Sure.
But the nitty gritty of it, you already do it. You just didn't realize you already do it. Is that, LaShonda, would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah. So I just hope that a couple of the nuggets help you, and I'm just here to share. That's all. You guys are always good and very kind to me, and I just want to do the same.
Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
I just had something to say about
Sure.
what Kenny
Please.
was saying earlier about the option agreement. From a personal experience, I started off doing options, and what the problem that I ran into, and I'm just speaking for me, was because of my marketing channel, which moves pretty fast. Now it's like I gotta go back and try to buckle the seller down to get them to sign a purchase and sales agreement when I'm getting ready to assign it. So I found
I
that,
see.
yeah, I found that it's easier and less stressful to just do the purchase and sales agreement, and then if it don't go through, whatever, however, whatever, cancel it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they'll sign the option, and then it's hell trying to get them back. And now you got this buyer that's ready to go. You're ready to assign it, but you can't get a hold with the seller. Whereas if you would have had that purchase and sales agreement, you could have moved forward. That's
That's interesting. Yeah.
Well, how far out are you giving yourself on those?
Me personally, I lock everything up in 60 days, period.
Okay, well, 60 days is a lot.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, if I do an option, we'll just say I do an option for 60 days. I might send out a text message, and in 2 days, I got a buyer that's ready to go. Now I got to go back to the seller and try to get the purchase and sales agreement, and it becomes.
No, I agree with you. And you know what? I did not clarify. I would do an option for 30, 45 days, I guess 60. That's why I was curious. When I was talking about options, it was when I don't really have it lined up. I don't really know, but if you want me to, I'll do it. And that was like, if it's 120 to 180 days, I'll do an option. So thank you for that's a good thing you brought up, because I didn't clarify. Anything less than 45 days, I generally, if I think it's going to smoke and I've got it lined up anyway in my mind, then I'm ready to go. I mean, we're doing, and I don't take an option for a 10 period. So good point. Thank you, LaShonda.
Yeah, great point on both sides.
We find buyers first, and then we go find a lot. So we're not, you know what I mean? We don't really use options like that, because we reach out to the buyers first. We find out what their buying criteria are, and then we go hunt.
Sure.
So that's what LaShonda was saying. Boom, like in a couple of days later. So
you've already got somebody sunk in.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Before we go out there and we look for leads, we look for buyers first.
Yeah, that's great.
And we send a text blast out to the buyers, ask them what they're looking for, and then we go hunt based on that.
Nice.
So we don't use options is not. Never use it. So it's just.
Well, y'all wouldn't even have a need for something that long out.
That's what I'm saying. Option. Yeah.
If it's 4 to 6 months, it's because there's something unique about it that it's just different. That's why you would need the option to do that.
That makes a lot of sense what y'all are saying, really, because especially if you have a buyer teed up, you kind of want to get that purchase and sale agreement and get it over into escrow even. And really, you're selling this, you're setting this up to close. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
That's great.
And we've got
I would love to hear if y'all would elaborate. I would love to hear y'all talk about on the show how you go after it from a point of view of marketing your buyers up front.
Oh, yeah.
if you would be willing to talk to
Well,
everybody.
that would be cool. Yeah, I'd
But
love that too.
we just basically told you, we do
So-
the exact same thing that you do when you're marketing for sellers. You just send out a text, because I'm texting, Sandra's texting. I don't
Right,
know everybody else's thing, but
Yeah, I'm texting.
you just send out a text message asking them, hey, this is LaShonda, I'm a wholesale, whatever you, however you want to open it up, and you just basically asking them, what are they looking for?
yeah,
What
so
are-
Justin, yeah, LaShonda, I don't mind sharing my screen, and I'll actually show you guys in terms of also how we find the market too.
Yeah.
So that's another thing too, is that you got to be able to know how to find your market, so you're not in like
Yeah.
a spray and pray situation, right?
I think, yeah,
So-
and two, that's perfect. And please do share your screen. But I also want to say too, I think there's a couple perspectives here happening too. One is a land, more like a land specialist, and the other
Right.
one is like me. I'm kind of like already like another specialist, and I just want to kind of sling this into like what I'm already doing, like a side
Right.
show almost.
Yeah,
So there's a
Yeah.
little bit like I'm a little more loosey goosey than you guys, for example. Like so,
Yeah.
a little bit of that going on, but definitely interested in what you have to share.
because
Please.
Ken, what Kenny's talking about in terms of notes and stuff like that, we're interested in that, but that's another level. But when we just started with, with just land and just wholesaling, because remember we all came in here with the wholesaling thing. So just like if you're doing for houses, you're just pretty much taking the same thing and you're just going to land, and then like the whole thing with notes, that would be another layer than me and her. That's what we're doing like right now.
Exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But when we started, you know what I'm trying to say? The basic way was let's see here. I don't know, Justin, can I share my screen? Okay. Am I already sharing?
No, you're not sharing already, but
Okay.
I think you can.
Okay. Let's see here. So
Is there a big green share button down in the bottom screen?
yeah, I saw
Okay.
that.
Yeah, if he gives you a.
There you go, you got it.
So I just picked a market like this market here in Georgia, right? Let's see here. I just picked a town. So this is what I'm doing in terms of obviously land. So I do up to 50K because obviously not a lot of buyers are going to be buying. That's, you know what I mean? For land that's over, actually even close to maybe 45K or 40K. So that's the most that I'm going to go in terms of land, right? In terms of the purchase price. So obviously here it says lots and stuff like that. And so here I have 19, right? In terms of what's listed right now. So just like what Kenny was saying in terms of looking back to see
Yes.
in terms of
You're
what's
doing
sold.
it.
So I go here, but I don't go back as far as a year because that's not, to me, that's not active. I go back to let's say 6 months, because somebody might be doing it like a year. I feel like that list is too old in terms of pulling. So remember how we had 19 and now this is 53. So this would be a good market because you want the number of solds to be like double or triple what's currently listed. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if I do 19 times 3, it's
Right.
57. So I'm almost there. So this would be a market where there's definitely a demand. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So now I know that there is a demand here in this market, Covington. I'm going to go back over here into Covington and let's see here. I think I just selected it, right?
Woo!
So I'm going to go
damn.
into Covington, right? So into prop stream. So this is my filter right here. So all classifications, property right here. I'm going to do vacant land. Okay. Quick list. I'm going to do free and clear. Property types right here. I'm going to come all the way down here and go to residential. You see that?
Yeah.
Select residential.
Residential vacant land. Yeah.
Yep. And then in terms of minimum, in terms of square footage, like what, 10 square footage, LaShonda, 5? Depending on
Yeah, depending on the area.
on the area. So let's do this. If we actually were to go back into Covington, and I'm seeing, you can actually see what they were selling for in terms of the sizes over here, right?
Yeah.
So I see that. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna put 5,000 square feet
How
to
many square
about,
feet in an acre, Sandra?
what, 40, is it 48, 44?
43,500.
Yeah, 43,000, right?
Thank
So
you.
I'm gonna do, yeah, so I'm gonna do from that to, I'm gonna go ahead and say, I'll go ahead and say 45,000 square feet. Okay, and so I don't touch anything in here. So all I have right now is vacant land, residential, between 5,000 and 45,000 square feet. I closed that. And MLS, no, it's not on market, obviously, right? And then nothing in terms of pre-foreclosure or bank owned. I go into ownership. Personally, for me, I like land that they've owned for at least 8 years or maybe like 5 years at the minimum, because they're much more motivated to sell. I know that LaShonda sometimes does 3 years or 2 years, but it's up to you. I sometimes will do like a minimum of 5 years ownership, 8 years ownership. So let's say I do 5-year ownership, right? Owner type, obviously you want individual, okay? And absentee. It's up to you. You can do out of state, out of county. I feel like those people are more motivated. You know what I mean? Or you
Right.
could do local. It's up to you.
Yeah.
But you see how my list went from 171, and if I move this, right? So, and then see here, nothing in terms of lien or anything like that, because I already did the free and clear, right? And then valuation and equation. This one here is a little weird because the assessed value, depending on the market, sometimes is only a percentage of what its actual market value is, but I don't want to confuse you guys too much. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put the most, like 30,000. Let's see, so I have 169, right? This is my list. So this is my list. It feels, that's my list right there. So I'll go in there and I'll save that, okay? So I'll save that. Now, for buyers, I'm gonna go back in here. Does that make sense though before I in terms of how I pull this list, everybody?
Yeah. I think that's
Okay.
pretty awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go and save this into under Covington, Georgia, like list and stuff like that. Now for buyers, I'm gonna stay in here. Let's see here. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear all. For buyers, let's see here. Owner type, corporate, right? Because we're looking for LLC buyers. And when I'm saying buyers, I'm saying construction, builders, right? Year of ownership, I don't really do anything in terms of that. And let's see here. Last sell date. Nothing in terms of that. LaShonda, what am I missing here in terms of, we want to make sure that they purchased in the last
Yeah, I normally
6
do
months,
the
right?
I normally do the last year, so you need to put in a minimum.
So we're here at last sell date, right? Last sell date.
The reason,
Yes.
the reason I do a year, and I don't know if y'all have your reasons, is because they would have had to have acquired it and they would have had to build on it. So it's going to take some time to do it. So that's why I go back a year.
Yeah.
And sometimes they park it for a few months before they even start the project.
Right.
Yeah. My experience, some of the people that I've talked to from a year, for whatever reason, they don't purchase, they're not as active. They may have purchased like one property or something like that a year ago, but they're not as active with the people that are, I'm just saying, just based on my personal experience. You could do 6 months to a year, it's up to you. But I just feel like the last 6 months, I need somebody who's purchased, even though I know they're going to take 2-3 years, but I want them to have purchased the last 6 months. So let's see here. So what? So let's see here. So I'll do, so August. So I'll go to February, right? 22nd. No, I'm missing something else too, LaShonda.
Under quick list, select cash buyers.
There we go. Cash buyers. And then I still need to come back in terms of under property, right? And I do need to do vacant. Yeah,
Vacant
these
land.
are, yeah, exactly. These are vacant land and they're buying
And then residential vacant land over there.
Yeah, residential vacant
Okay.
land.
Great.
Shit. What did I do wrong? Actually, you know what? I think I need to go back in here and do
You
this.
still have to tell it where you want it to be. Covington, you're right.
There
Yeah, it's
you go.
Covington. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got it.
So this is my list of buyers who've currently purchased land. See, that's a nice size list.
It is. It's way
Right,
bigger
that's a
than I
nice
would have
size
ever
And
guessed.
sometimes they're going to be listed on there more than once. That tells you how active they are.
Oh,
See what she's
true.
done?
Yeah, and you'll find that out too when you're talking to them. So I will go ahead and now save. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and create and just do. I'm gonna
After
do
you do
test.
that, I'm gonna add something to that, Sandra.
Okay,
And
I
what's
was gonna show
happening
them.
as she's building this rapport and even doing business with them, later on, you're automatically going to know who you may call before, while you're getting something proposed to you. So that's already in your hip pocket before you even have to look this up later on.
Right. So this is something else that you can do too. Once Sandra go back to that screen.
Go ahead, LaShonda. I can go back in here.
Okay, go back to the screen where you were at with the cash buyers.
Right here. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so something else that you guys can do is like when you want to know what area the cash buyers are buying in, you can reverse engineer it. So that you can come in here, you can say Covington, Georgia, you can do all these filters, and then over to the right, Sandra, you see where that little man is? In the middle.
Yeah, right here.
Go up where that little
The arrow,
Right here.
it'll blow it up. Yeah.
that. Okay, then something else what you can do is scroll all the way up to the top and look for, click on zip code. Just click
Right
it.
here.
Go back down. Right.
Oh, I'd like everybody that's like, I didn't even know that tab existed, and my mind is
Sandra,
blown.
go back up to the top, Sandra. The header of that. Click on zip.
Yeah, and there's one on the bottom
Oh.
that if you click on, when she goes back, the bottom one will go all the way to the top and you can get more data that way too.
No, but go
Go down one row there, Sandra.
Right here.
no, that right
There
there.
you go.
Okay,
To the
over
right is zip.
right and
There
click
you
zip.
go.
Just tap
Shit,
it.
I just clicked by accident.
Okay, so stay right there. Okay,
Okay.
so with this screen, this information tells you where the buyers are buying at. So what you can
Right.
do under the zip codes, like we see 30014. What I do is I write down the zip codes and then I write down the amount to see what are the hot zip codes. That's basically what you're doing. So like 30014.
But this is all Covington. It's one town.
I know, but I'm saying like when you are looking for the buyers, most of the
Yeah.
time now is more than one zip code.
Right.
Right,
This
right,
is
right.
exactly pinpoints the zip codes in which they
Yeah.
bought.
Exactly.
And you can
And
also do, instead of zip code, if you want, you could find out what county this is in. So then you can pull your buyers, not just by Covington, you can also put them for whatever county that they live in and just do the same thing that I just did in terms of finding that. Right? So anything else you wanted to add,
Well,
LaShonda?
to what she's, and also when you're looking at what you know you can sell it to them for, you already know they had success. They bought this, they built this.
Exactly.
And if you can, then you just back it up for your fee and you get it under contract, you sell it to them for essentially the same price.
Right. So then exactly. So after I save this list, and this list, I would save it pretty much the same way that I saved the other list in terms of buyers, I will skip trace this list of buyers to get their phone number. So once I skip trace that, then I'm going to, oh, I hate this stupid thing. I'm trying to,
After you skip Tracy, you can reach out to them in the campaign.
I know, I was trying to show them, or you could use like a dummy kind of thing. Like, let's say I use this address right here. I was trying to show them, I have a tab underneath here. I have a tab. Okay, hold on. Is this it right here? I have a tab in terms of, okay. All right. So, all right, let's see here. All right, so let me go back in here. So then I will just pick, let's say like, once I've skip traced that LLC, right? I'll go and just pick like a random address or something off of that list. Let's say if I want to do like, this would be what I would put in here for my, see here, this is, how do I do everybody? This will be my message to them.
That went into the Zoom room chat room, everybody.
Right there.
If I could say one thing to compliment what y'all are doing, the other thing I do, not only to find out that buyer, but I'll also go find out, because remember, it's a sold property now. So I'll go find out who actually was listing it, and I'll go find out that agent, because even if that, maybe the timing might be right for that particular buyer, but that agent probably knows somebody else. You've got another person to go in your, while you're sitting there trying to make contacts, that's just a great way to go look. They already successfully have a relationship with that buyer, but they have others. So I just want to make sure y'all drill down even farther with that free information.
Yeah, you have to be careful with the agents too, though, because we've had our own little thing with the agents, but you got to kind of play hardball with the agents and stuff like that, you know, you could do that too, but you just have to just don't let them take advantage of you and stuff like that. I'm talking about the agents and stuff like that. So, but usually we've been able to do this without agents. I have worked with one agent, but all of my other deals, it just you're talking directly to, you know, because when you're skip tracing the actual builders, like the owners of the company, and you're skip tracing, you know, like where that property is, that they own it and stuff like that. So even before I even send this message here that I just put in the chat room, I can also send another text message where it says something like to them saying like, hey, my name is Sandra. I'm an off-market land specialist, land specialist for Covington, Georgia. Let's see here. Are you interested in acquiring more lots? Are you interested?
Are you supposed to be sharing your screen, Sandra?
Huh?
Are you sharing your screen? If so, we don't see it.
Yeah, no, because I'm writing it in there. You guys are going to see in 1 second. Yeah, I'm just writing in here.
Well, you're going to put it in the chat, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm putting it in the chat. Off-market land specialist.
Put it in the chat and I'll throw it up on the screen for everybody.
More lots. Thanks. So this will actually be like my original message that goes out, right?
Okay.
Lots. Sorry, I meant to put lots instead of lost. So as they're replying back to me, right? Yes, I'm asking them, are you a cash buyer? Like, do you close your deals with, are your deals financed, or are they, you know, can you close with cash? Can you close in 30 days? What buying criteria? You know what I mean? What size lots are you looking for? Once they answer all of that, then we go hunting. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense.
So so like if that list of Covington, like that, I would skip trace that buyer's list. I'm sorry, yeah, the buyer's list. And this second message that I put in here, that's what I'm sending to them as a text. And then they're sending, as they're replying back to me, and they're saying, yes, our deals are financed. I know they are not going on my list because I need a cash buyer. They're saying, you know, yes, we close 45 days or 60 days. They're not going to go on there because I need someone to close in 30 days or less. You know what I'm trying to say? And then that's how I get that list, because I know that these are people who they're serious. I talk to them, Then I go hunt based on what it is that we're looking for, what they're looking for, and we're off to the races. And what I just did in Covington, I repeat that, and I do that in every market. So I do the market research. I look to see if there's a good number of sales and stuff like that. I pull the list for PropStream without leaving my house, without leaving my spot, and then we're pretty much done. That's what that.
I love it. So
That's what me and this is how me and LaShonda have been doing deals. This is it. That's all we're doing, right, LaShonda? Am I missing anything else?
Oh, that's it.
That's
That's
it.
why I told Justin I wanted y'all here because I knew y'all had a lot
Yeah.
to bring to the table.
And that's
Yeah.
all we send for,
That's
and then the
great.
same, yeah, and then the text messages for the owners, for the sellers, you know, are you interested in selling your lot or whatever it is that you create,
Yeah.
yes or no? And I offered them a price based on what it is that I know I need to, you know, acquire it for me to make money and stuff like that. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like
that's-
it's like we had the cinnamon roll with Kenny, and then you two just put the icing, the drizzle, the icing on top, and now it's just like we gotta have it, you know.
Justin, I heard you
This
ask earlier
works.
about comping. Like when you get the opportunity, you just basically going in the props. I go in the prop stream,
Props
in the
stream.
red stream, and I go into
Mhm.
Zillow. And then you just basically just trying to see what lots have sold in the last
Yeah,
days, 90 days, whatever.
yeah,
Right.
Same size. You know, it's the same thing as a
Yeah.
house.
It's just,
yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, you know, it totally enlightened me when she was in there showing us around, and man, it's great. It's
that's
really
it.
great, Sandra. Thank
That's
you.
it. Yeah.
And
And you just,
LaShonda.
But,
Yeah.
but guys, is any of this complicated? Can anybody really look at this and say this is hard?
That's true.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what they're telling you. And you already
Right.
knew this. There's no mystery here, but you just be consistent. So thank y'all for sharing that. I knew y'all had so much to share, and I was excited that Justin said y'all were going to be here.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah, of
you. Thank you,
course.
everyone.
Yeah, Justin, I tried exactly what Sandra and LaShonda is talking about, and it works. It works for me. I did it exactly what Sandra just
Great.
showed. Yeah.
Great. I love it. I love it when a plan comes together. And this has been a great session. I mean, Kenny really opened up the possibilities for me and laid the groundwork. And then you guys kind of dove into some details and a perspective and a paradigm of this, and it's just really opened it up for me even more. So I'm very grateful. Thank you, everybody. Kenny, thank you, and LaShonda and Sandra and Corey. Everybody, thank you for being here. We probably ought to wrap up. We've been going for almost 90 minutes. Is there any last thing that we probably need to do before we go? Any other hot questions that we got to have? Do we need a part two? I mean, I kind of wish we could just keep rocking.
I just want to hear your success stories. We got the
Yeah.
group chat. I want to hear your success stories. So keep them coming so we can ring that bell.
Ring
Sure.
that motherfucking bell, baby.
I love it. All right, guys. Thank you. I love you. Have a good rest of your day. Okay. I'll see you later. Okay. Bye.
Thanks so
Bye.
much,
Take care,
Kenny.
guys. Be your
Appreciate
best.
it, ladies.
Thank you.
all right, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye,